Welcome to the Twigg and Jenkins podcast. We are your hosts, Carri Twigg and Brad Jenkins, and we have in the mother effing building the incomparable, the genius, the funniest man in America, Mr. Roy Wood Jr. Can we give a huge round of applause to Roy?
Not
Hey,
funny.
buddy.
I would argue top 25, but thank you.
Let's go. Top 25? No way, man.
No way.
Come on, Roy.
I'm not even my mom's top 5, so I'm not going to.
That's tricky. is that why she didn't come last night?
Yeah.
She's like, once you get to the top 5, I'll come to the taping.
Took my Hulu password. Let me know when it's on Hulu.
First off, Roy, thank you for last night. The story you said where the photographer was like, thank you, like that moment.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that for you because that was dope.
That was really touching.
I appreciate
That
that.
was
Yeah, that
very
was really
special.
beautiful.
You
And-
also put us in like the VIP shit. We were in like
You are my media friends.
we were in that box area. It was
You
was
know
wild,
what's
man.
weird? It's like that. Was it the Muppet Show where they had like the two judgmental
Yes.
curmudgeon Muppets
Yes.
up there? I'm always so scared to look up there because it's something about in the theater where you have that side elevated seat. It's also at Showtime at the Apollo where they would put celebrity guests.
Right.
So
right.
it's the judgmental
Yeah.
Box.
box.
Yeah.
And I'm horrified to look up there.
You looked up at us a couple times.
Yeah.
briefly in a way. I'm like, my fear is if I look up and you're not laughing, damn, my friends don't like me.
Oh.
Let me look at these strangers.
Nah,
Yeah.
well,
It's
here was
so
the
low.
thing. There's a mic right on our balcony, and I didn't realize it because it's a taping.
Yeah.
For those of
Yeah.
you who are putting
It's a
two and
TV
two,
taping,
two
yeah.
and
Box
two
is
together.
like,
TV
yeah.
taping for Roy's show last night in DC, and our little box had a little mic, and I didn't realize it till halfway, and I'm like, oh man, I'm messing up this whole mic because Twig knows I'm so loud.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
So
perfect.
I am like,
I was snorting. So
I was
you have
snorting,
Brad
laughing.
cackling, me snorting.
Yeah.
Like
Love
at
it.
full on. And
Love it.
I tried to suppress the snort, but it came out. I was like beaming down at you. I was so excited.
so good.
No, it was great. Thank y'all for coming. Because, I mean, like,
man.
it's still an hour of your life.
Yeah.
Really 2 hours once you factor in all the other shit on each side of the
Yep.
show. It was a good time. I love Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
I sell better here than any. I was originally going to do my third special here, but the COVID restrictions got wonky in 21. So we went to Denver instead, where they don't give a shit. And
Sounds about right.
yeah, and then I decided to come back where we could for sure have a full house.
That crowd was crazy.
It was, the line was around
crowd was
the
crazy.
block. Everyone
Yeah.
was so hype.
Crazy.
It was fantastic.
It was truly like one of those nights where like 3 months from now, I'll sit still and
Yeah.
reflect. But I'm just so much a get right back to work.
Yeah.
Like literally, I tape an hour special for Hulu, and I wake up this morning and I'm digesting news media because the CNN premiere is in 6 days.
It was in 6
So,
days.
oh shit, I'm hosting something. I gotta call Trevor and get tips. I gotta call Samantha Bee and get tips. There's
Yeah.
shit to do.
Yeah.
There's a ending. Season 3, 24, Kiefer Sutherland.
Okay. Deep
Let's
cuts.
go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Super deep cut.
There's 24 heads out there.
He saved the world, and it's like the last 60 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
He saved the world. He's done it all. He's survived all these unforsaken traumas. Like, he shook a heroin addiction. He chopped off his best friend's arm.
Yeah.
He shot his boss in the head,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all to save
Lots
America.
happened.
A lot has happened in these 24 hours.
Yes.
And Jack Bauer sits in his fucking Ford Explorer and he cries, just like shaking for like 20 seconds. And then over the radio, it's just, yeah, Jack, we need you back at the radio. We need you back at the police station. Come do your job. And he starts the car and drives off.
And that's where you're at
That's you.
emotionally.
That's me. I sit with the gravity of, wow, we really did that. And I'm just overwhelmed with so
Yeah.
many emotions. And then a switch flips. It's time to get back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, team own your wins would tell me that I'm not taking enough time for myself and all of that. But it comes later. It just doesn't come right then. I cannot schedule vacation or celebration. It just happens.
I do personally, as someone who cares for you, get concerned about your sleep hygiene because whenever, no matter the time I texted him from Europe, from the West Coast, from the East, replies.
Does not matter what
is
time
awake.
it is.
And I'm
Yeah.
just like, why are you awake? What is happening? He's like, I'm on the train.
Yeah.
I'm going down to DC. I'm coming back to New York. Then I'm coming back to DC. Like, you are Jack Bauer of the comedy scene.
There have been days where I probably should have done less. But there's I don't know, I think a lot of it, people talk about the trauma of poverty, right?
Yeah.
And the idea that this could all go away. And being okay with not saying yes to everything. It's the one critique Trevor Noah had of me was, you don't have to say yes to all this shit. I'm like, yes, you do. You don't understand.
Yeah.
You struggle for 15 years.
Yeah.
And you don't get that. Like, yo, when I got Daily Show, I was fucking down on my dick, bro. I had a sitcom. I'm sorry, that's some Southern slang.
I was like, I don't know that.
I was in a
that.
very unfortunate position where the only thing of value I possessed was my penis. That's
Got it. Okay.
down on
I did not know what that
I don't know
meant.
why I'm looking at you. I should look at him.
Yeah,
I was down on my
understand.
dick, bro.
I understand, man. I understand. You can say it to her too. We're down.
No,
Did Trevor actually say that, or you're?
no, that's me to Trevor.
I
yeah,
see.
yeah.
I see.
And he's
I was
like, you don't
that
have to say
doesn't-
yes
I
to
don't think
everything.
Trevor
to
would say
imagine
that,
in a
yeah.
South African.
I was down on my penis for it. I don't understand. No, but the idea that you work so hard for so long just to get a fucking crumb, that when multiple people start offering you meals, box that up to go.
Yeah.
Well, don't you want to sit and enjoy? No, I'll do it. Let me do it. Well, yes to that. So it took time to learn how to do less, but a lot of what's happening now is, to me, is going back to that mindset where if you know what it's like to be skinny, if you know what it's like to sleep in a truck stop and alternate your car on and off for the heat, but you can't leave the car running the entirety of the sleep at the truck stop because you don't have enough gas to get to the venue that's giving you the money that's your gas money back. When you've lived like that, you don't ever want to go back to that.
Yeah.
So you start figuring out ways, and it's kind of a gift and a curse because to me that drive gives you the ingenuity to always have a way to figure out how to do the next thing in your career.
Yeah.
But it also puts you in a position sometimes where I get why Kevin Hart works at the level that he works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that some of that comes from being down on his dick. He was-
Yeah.
Like,
We're gonna hashtag it. We're gonna
That
educate.
callback.
We're gonna educate all of Washington
Twigg
D.C.
and Jenkins
Yeah.
merch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Down on your dick. Let's go.
and so that I think is part of the sleep stuff. And the way I look at it, I just look at it career-wise. It's a high tide, low tide. And I feel like entertainment affords you periodic opportunities to plant and then harvest. And if you're not properly doing that on a regular basis, then you're going to be screwed in a way. And I just feel like everything I'm doing now is leading to something
Oh, for sure.
3-4
Absolutely.
years from now. So if I knew last year that I was going to leave The Daily Show, right? That's during the writer's strike. So you got 5 months off during the writer's strike to figure out, all right, well, what's your plan when the strike ends? Well, I got a couple scripts I can sell. Okay, well, let's sell some sitcoms. Let's
Yeah.
do that. I don't know what's going to happen in unscripted television. Maybe there'll be another opportunity. I leave the show with the assumption that, oh, well, I can just sell my late night thing, and the industry starts imploding, especially with
Totally.
Paramount. So now nobody's spending money on new ideas.
Yeah.
And the original thought was that, oh, that's only applying to scripted. Well, to me, it's spread to unscripted.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So now you look up, oh, shit, there is nowhere to sell a show. I'm going to have to do the show myself.
Yeah.
Oh, but Hulu wants a comedy special from me. Okay, so I'll use this spring of 2024 to tighten up the material while writing the TV scripts that I sold and start getting that together. And then you start looking at the Hulu taping in September, so you want to start putting your stand-up there. But, oh, you just shot that. You booked a movie with Jonah Hill and Keanu Reeves. So you got to take 3 weeks off to shoot that. So the
When
script
did that happen?
that over the summer.
Amazing.
So, and I couldn't have even gotten that opportunity if I was still at Daily Show, because 3 weeks, you're not getting 3 weeks off from the Daily Show in an election year.
Right.
It will not happen.
Right.
So to even leave the show created that opportunity, but you don't know where you're jumping. When you're jumping, you just, this is the right time to leave. But now to take that movie, which you want to eat, you're hungry, right? So you got to take the movie. But now because you took the movie, you've got to cancel 3 weeks of stand-up, and you really can't write the scripts that you're supposed to write because you got to focus because you're in a scene with Keanu. You don't want to fuck that up.
Right.
But now the movie's done. That script still due.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Hulu is ready to see the first pass of some of the material that you're thinking about. That joke's not ready, so you got to stay out a little later. But your showrunner, and then CNN fucking calls.
It's like, and then...
and goes, hey, do you want to do this show that's based on a show that's done really well for 30 years? And you go, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
And that brings us to today.
And
that's
then
why
you text me.
I was just going to say this.
Yes, I'm fucking awake because I have 3 scripts, a comedy special, a remake of a British show that a lot of British people are DMing me about, telling me I better not fuck up.
It's kind of like
that's helpful.
It's
Thanks.
And somewhere in the middle of all of this, there is a child that I have to love.
Yeah.
That you do love and have to.
Some days it's have to. Some days it's have
Thank you
to.
for cleaning up.
To raise.
So I'm being a good co-parent in the middle of all of that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't say no to any of that. And it, like, when I sold those 3 scripts, I didn't have the Keanu. I didn't have CNN. I didn't have Hulu.
Right.
So I'm supposed to tell Hulu no?
No,
Because I got shit to write. So you have bad, what did you say? I like that word.
Sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene terrible for 24. 25,
You thinking
You're
we're going to
good.
bring it
You're
in.
sleeping.
I'm off the road. CNN pops, even no matter what happens with the CNN thing in the long run going into next summer.
Because right now it's set up as a limited. So you're doing a
Correct.
set number of episodes every Saturday between now and Election Day.
Between now and Thanksgiving, yeah.
Now and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, every Saturday night
great.
between now and Thanksgiving. I feel like we'll knock it out the park. We got Amber Ruff and we got Michael Ian Black.
It's great.
And they'll give us another
Absolutely.
run, at least through the first 100 days.
Right.
As
right,
CNN
right.
as an entity figures out what the fuck they want to do as a
Yeah.
company.
who they are. Yeah.
So humor might fit, and 6 months from now, they may want to go all straight lace tweed blazer motherfuckers on there. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
They need it, though. I mean, the thing that Twigg and I have been talking about with this election cycle, like our show's mostly about the election, is the lack of comedy, culture, and just like an entry point for people who don't watch the news every day. Like seems like you watch the news every day, though, right? Like you
You're
have
a
this
high consumer.
journalist background. Like you that intersection of politics and comedy, like that is your bread and butter.
Yeah.
But I feel like for a lot of comedians that I know, a lot of people in entertainment world, like they're not watching that shit.
Well, and I also
every day.
think for just general population, like people who haven't, it's like having abs, you
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
you don't work out once and get abs. It's
Right.
it's like a consistency thing. So I've been reading newspapers every day since I was 16, 17 years old and following politics closely.
Yeah.
So now today I can read something, skim it, and actually have a context and history for it.
Because you know the backstory.
Because I know, and I've been thinking about it for so long. But if you're someone who's just recently started to try and figure this out, if there's no humor, there's no levity, there's
Yes.
no entertainment value to any of it, it's like, why would I?
Yes.
What this shit sucks.
Yeah.
Like it's boring, it's complicated, it's opaque.
There's
Yeah.
always something funny in there that if you work to find it, you know.
Totally.
For me, I benefited by and large because I did morning radio. So I did, when I was at Florida A&M, my first internship was hard news for a morning show, just a hip-hop morning show. This is the beginning of rap-dedicated radio.
Right.
So what role does news have in this? Are you Ed Gordon, Jackie Reed with it?
Right.
In that era, or are you like Tavis Smiley, Tom Joyner show, whatever? And I'm a 19-year-old, and I would come in, I would pick 3 national stories, 2 locals, and a kicker, and I would just do a proper read. And that came from just watching my father do the same shit
Yeah.
when he did morning radio growing up. And, you know, we grew up in a house where we read the paper every day.
Right.
And you're younger. It's comics and sports, and then as you get older, you mature. I feel like you start in the inside of the paper,
Yes.
and then you mature to the section B, section A, whatever.
I'm having a reverse trajectory. I think I probably
You started with the news.
started with the first sections, and now I'm like paying more attention to sports and arts and culture than I ever literally have gone. I'm in a weird second adolescence moment of my life because I was so uptight and serious all of my teenage years and 20s.
Yeah,
And then in
so
my
now you
30s, I'm like, movies.
As you should.
You know?
Like have that phase. Like for me, it was Calvin and Hobbes, Doonesbury, Family Set, like just the more brainy comic strips, and then just started reading news. And then when I got to college, news was such an important part of just like we got quizzed on the front page of USA Today every day in J school. And I was in business school my freshman year at Florida before I transferred to journalism, and they quizzed us on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, which was a whole different flow,
whole different vibe.
But that the Wall Street Journal was interested in that. Here's the stories that are relevant to money and markets that you should know about. So it was a different way to scan. So now that gives me the ability, like you in the present day, I can read this and know how this ripple affects 15 other things or whatever. Oh, the Russian, we approve this much more money to Ukraine. So that's going to affect this, and this, and then that industry, which means this politician probably is going to have to, that part of it is I'm really cool with. Even if I wasn't in news, I'd still be reading it. I mean,
how has your consumption of political news changed between your time on The Daily Show and as you're prepping for the CNN show?
I don't know if I should say this if CNN is listening, but
I think
should definitely,
rest assured.
Yeah, they're not listening.
No, they're listening. Trust me. They got motherfuckers
everywhere.
Oh yeah. Hey, we have a question about a tweet, and oh Lord. And then it curved.
In 2011.
Then they curved
oh, no.
Can we use this in the show? I was like, oh, cool.
Okay,
Cool. No, first thing I did when I left Daily Show was stop watching cable news.
Yeah, same.
When you left the Daily Show?
When I left the Daily Show, same thing. No, meaning I stopped watching cable news.
I didn't stop consuming news.
Yeah.
But because I had to consume cable news because I needed to be informed of everybody's opinion so that we don't have a segment that mirrors someone's opinion, because in a good way.
Right.
The best opinion is the opinion no one else possesses.
True.
Or it's an opinion about a weird opinion. I used to say I shared an office with Ronnie Chang. We'd sit in that thing and we'd watch OAN, we'd watch News Nation.
Oh yeah.
We watched Cheddar.
That's
we watched
good stuff.
Grio. The whole spectrum of cable news.
Just tap that hate right into your veins.
Everything. And so when I didn't have to do that for a job, I'm not writing a joke to this. It put me in a different place. So I started watching local news. The problem with local news is that it's
terrifying,
too myopic. Well, yeah, local news. I had a joke that I left out of the special about how cable news, how local news will just give you a story and then just move on.
As if they didn't just traumatize you.
Yeah. The anchors don't process pain anymore. They just deliver. 3 murderers were murdered while murdering in sports.
In your neighborhood.
And you'll see the footage of the police tape, and it's that's the shop where I go to.
Yeah.
Yes, 4 people are dead inside. They ordered the exact same coffee as you. It happened right after you left.
Right.
Pam, what do you have in weather? And so the idea of watching just local news, they're going to give you 3 or 4 national stories. But the issue, what I started noticing, is that if you watch local news across 4 different affiliates, it's usually the same 4 national. It's 6 stories. They all picked 4.
Yeah.
And it's not broad enough. So I had to start dabbling back into local news. And that was just to stay informed for the sake of my stand-up.
Right.
Which still has some political overtones. And that was the thing I realized once we sold Hulu the special and I really started dialing down the jokes. I was like, okay, I'm all right, I'm not getting enough information about Kamala's campaign, and I'm not getting enough information about the Biden ouster, resignation and step down to be a good patriot. I need to start watching cable news again. And so then now, for the first time in my life, I have favorite programs that I watch.
Are you going to name check them?
Yeah, I like Abby Phillip. I like Laura Coates.
Abby's great.
These people are light and fun. But you can't, or at least I choose to not avoid journalists who are not necessarily going to give a different perspective. You know, to the CNN and the comedy point, I think part of what's interesting is that, you know, I watch Gutfeld sometimes on Fox News and I laugh at it. This shit is jokes. And there's days where the premise of the joke I do not agree with. I don't agree with the truth you're starting from to establish the joke. But as a comedian, good try. Fine. Right. Cool. You're here trying to make a joke, and the jokes are to an audience that already agrees with that premise. So I get who you're preaching to. So
you can just tell by the catheter commercials, like what their target demographic is. It's like 75 to 90.
A big Fox consumer.
Yeah, but I don't. It's like research purposes.
Well, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like it's research. I'm not watching it to enjoy it.
What is everybody saying about the thing?
100%.
That's what I'm obsessed with as a person. Same. What are other people's opinions? So now CNN gives us a show and they go, okay, you can make fun of the news. And we go, okay, well, does that mean I can also make fun of CNN?
True.
And what was their answer?
You are the news. They said, go for it.
Okay.
I spoke with, the producers because Have I Got News for You has already been on for 30 years in Britain. It's essentially, I don't want to say it's their daily show, but in terms of an institution where you can hear political opinions and see people punching up, it has been that for a very long time. So the producers of that show are handling the American version.
Cool.
CNN trusts them. And those producers said, we can do what we want. Well, then we gonna fucking find out.
I love that. Yeah, that's so good.
Let's push the envelope and have fun and make some jokes and make fun of the things that everybody sees. But I need to know how everybody sees everything else. So I can't just watch Laura and Abby.
Yeah.
I need to watch Caitlin.
Yeah.
Caitlin Collins is gonna have a totally different gang of guests. MSNBC is gonna have a totally different gang of guests.
Yeah.
So if I'm watching Simone Sanders on the weekend on MSNBC, and then give me some Joy Reid on Monday.
Your cousin?
Yeah, Simone. Yeah, shout out to
cousin Simone.
I have to watch. She's family.
Even your press release, I will say, your press release, as someone who now reads entertainment trades, your press release around the CNN show was so funny. You never laugh reading Deadline.
Press release was the press release.
Yeah, you never laugh reading like a Deadline show announcement, But what was the joke? It was like hat tricks taking black jobs.
Yeah, thank you to the Brits for being immigrants who are actually bringing black jobs into this country and not taking black jobs.
I love it so much.
Then Michael Ian Black called himself a DE&I hire.
Well, absolutely.
Because it's me, Amber Ruffin, and Michael.
So good. I was like, this is such a great opening soft launch of what we're gonna see on this show.
Yeah, if Van Jones cried, this is a segment I used to try and get on a Daily Show, and we could never get it done. But it was, to me, because the show itself, just so that people understand the format, I'm the host. Amber and Michael are team captains. They both have a guest every week. And together we go through the news and I award, quote, points for right guesses on what do you think is happening in photos. And it's just a fun way to review super serious shit and super casual, goofy shit.
Yeah.
So it's not all hard, painful stories, right? I wanted to do a segment on Daily Show where we show you a clip of Van Jones saying something poignant, and then we pause it, and then I ask you, is he about to cry?
Oh, shit.
And it's the first thing I'm pitching Monday morning to my writers.
The answer is always yes, though.
A few years ago, you could have done that with Cory Booker, too.
Cory, too.
Is Van about to cry?
Is Van going to cry? Yeah.
Is he going to cry?
Good.
We got the debate coming up this week. If Kamala nails the debate,
that's your premiere show.
Great time.
When do you
Van's
tape?
gonna cry.
Is it? It's not live.
No, we tape Friday night.
We tape Friday night for
for
Saturday air.
So we're close. Like, you're not going to sneak in shit in a 5 o'clock press dump and think it's not going to get talked about.
Right.
It's us and Saturday Night Live. That's all you got.
I think amazing.
No, Oliver tapes on Fridays as well, if I'm not mistaken. But Oliver's not living in the topical the way we are.
Right.
He's got like a long
Can we talk
lineup.
about the campaign? Can we talk about the debate?
Let's talk about the debate. Here's my thing on the debate. This might be the most consequential presidential debate of my adult lifetime.
For who?
Meaning, how this debate
America.
goes will determine who wins this election.
I don't think Trump can lose.
Because I think they've hidden Kamala so much. Their strategy has been, scarcity is our resource here, right?
Right.
Trump's the opposite. Trump's everywhere. Trump's on every white boy podcast in America. Trump is just out here saying wild shit every day.
Cocaine.
Just talking about cocaine.
Right?
Yeah, he's out there with Theo.
Only Theo could bring that out of a president.
I mean,
He's out there.
so
But
that's an upper, that cocaine?
the last debate, Trump ended Biden. Think about it that way. The last debate, Trump ended Biden.
Trump did not end Biden. Biden ended Biden.
Biden ended himself, but it happened on that debate.
It was
absolutely.
a win for Trump.
It was a win for Trump.
100%.
So I just think the stakes are really high for Kamala Harris, is what I'll say about the debate.
I think that all of the pressure is on her.
Yes.
That is absolutely true.
And I don't think there's anything Trump can do that will show us a new
For
piece
sure.
of him.
Right.
If she can stick to him on policies, especially about women's issues, then I think that they have a chance to kind of steer more women voters away from Trump.
Right.
But even now, Trump is waffling on abortion. And, well, you can go and get you an abortion. I ain't tripping. He was hardline forever. Now he's like, go and get you a little abortion, baby. 6 months ain't enough time. It's like, really, you're just now realizing that?
In the last
Mr.
debate,
President?
he said Democrats kill live babies. So that's an evolution.
He's
like, there's a baby, a beautiful baby. And their Democrats are like, let's decide what to do with it.
I will say there's some staffers in Kamala's camp and Doug Emhoff's camp that I'm friends with and have known for a while. And I invited them to my comedy show in Washington, D.C. this weekend, to which they said, we're not coming. We're prepping for the debate.
Mm-hmm.
And the people I invited, these are motherfucking partiers. So if they didn't show up for open bar after party, they're getting serious.
They're getting serious.
This is serious.
No, it's a big thing.
I just think that, to me, the biggest hurdle if I'm Kamala Harris, if I'm Vice President Harris, is to not fall into the bait of discussing your race with Trump.
Yeah.
Because the first thing Trump is going to do, he's going to play that card, same as he did at NABJ. And he's going to come out and go, is she black? We don't even know who she is, what she is. And then the moderator's going to come back to Kamala and go, well, what say you? Are you black? And Kamala's not going to be able to do what she did with Dana Bash in the one-on-one with her and Waltz. She's going to have to address what Trump just said. But I just hope that it doesn't become the conversation. I just hope that as much as she can deflect that and just keep it on policy. Look, man, this idea that every politician needs to, I don't like the fact that we get caught up in the identity of who people are. Like,
Yeah.
all right, are you black? Cool.
Yep.
Be black then.
Yep.
Thank you. But if you was just a little black today, a little Indian tomorrow, and you just
Feels reasonable to me.
trying to win this job, that's what Bernie Mac said in Players Club. Welcome to the stripping game, partner.
Yeah.
That's the game we're playing. I ain't crazy about it, but this idea that pandering somehow doesn't play, like, you're trying to identify.
Inauthentic, though. She was raised by an Indian woman as her mother. Like, for her to tap into those dimensions of her personality is not necessarily pandering. They're true.
Correct. But then if we have footage of you from 92 going, I'm Indian, and you didn't say I'm black and Indian or I'm black American and Indian, then we got you.
Yeah.
You can't run for president. You're a terrible option. Like,
yeah, give me a break.
as opposed to the alternates. I don't know. Like if you got Trump, I don't see the difference in Kamala saying she black or not and Trump running out with some gold sneakers. So
True.
If you're trying to identify with folks, I think also like with pandering, like we have to like, give a little grace, man. Like at this point in the election, you trying to convince dumb motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you're still an undecided voter at this point, like most of you are dumb.
Does that
like,
even exist? Is a question. Are there really undecided voters?
But let me be fair.
Yeah.
Some are just inattentive until the last minute.
Right.
Because politics is exhaustive.
Right.
And if you've been following this since the primaries and the caucuses in Iowa, you already know who you want. But somebody this close to the election, you're either lazy or you're dumb if you don't know enough about the candidates. And then, well, I haven't heard her talking with. Google the shit. You waiting for it to come up in your fucking algorithm? Your algorithm ain't gonna show you shit.
No.
I'm sorry, sound man, for yelling like
Sure.
that. Like it's.
How do you feel about, to that point though, one of the challenges that she has, like no one knows who vice presidents are, even her.
Unless they fuck up real bad.
Yeah.
Right. And
unless they shoot you in the face.
so she's a brand new, yeah, that did get the word out.
Got the word out about it.
Hunting trip gone wrong. But so she becomes a nominee a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. So, but she's also not in the press. So now as a member of the media, well, I guess you have been for quite some time. Like, what are your opinions on her, the campaign strategy of keeping her out of the press? To me, it seems crazy, but I don't.
And we say this with love, by the way. Like
Why?
like Twigg and I, we have a lot of friends who work for Kamala, so we're saying this with love. But we want her. I mean, I think after this debate, they're going to have no choice but to get her out there more.
Okay,
but
so then why would I do it before then?
Yeah, true.
If it's a potential liability,
true.
Then let me build up the lore.
Yeah.
Of who you think I am and who you perceive me to be. I'm fundraising out the yin yang, and I ain't even said nothing to any of y'all yet.
Yeah.
I'm sitting back off Instagram posts and Zoom calls with blacks and Latinos and white men for Trump. Like it's
yeah.
Go out there and do it. Thank you.
Yeah.
But here's but to your point, there's still so many people who are not paying attention, and people have to hear things more than once. You know, we need to get a lot of reps in with people to either make them decide that they should vote at all, let alone fill the information vacuum that they have around like who's doing what and what's going on. And the only way you can do that at scale with 60 to 58 days left is through the media.
Yeah, you got to do sound bites. You got to do some ads. I was doing a show with Jordan Klepper a couple of weeks ago at Duke University, and he was telling a story about billionaire Chicago J.B. Pritzker. Did I pronounce it? Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, you did.
And so he's out walking with Pritzker, and people are going, "Hey, JB, what's going on?" And just people in cars are calling him JB. And Jordan,
Governor of Illinois.
Yeah. And so Jordan goes, "That must be really cool, you know, that people call you JB. You know, how are you able to keep so close with the people, you know, and have them feel so familiar with you?" And Pritzker said, "You spend $100 million in ads.
Yeah.
That's how you become familiar to people.
Yeah.
At scale like that."
Right.
So I think if Kamala and her team have been taking this time to strategize and figure out what their approach is going to be and build up their war chest, and then once you have it, it's like Independence Day, where you position all of your motherships around the country, and then you attack all at the same time. That's what I'm hoping this is, because because lack of press leading up to the debate leaves Trump with less to prepare against.
True.
And so you're able to keep your card, because if we're talking one and done debates, if you deliver a serious death blow at this debate,
it's over.
He doesn't even know what to counter. 2 weeks before the debate, Trump was still whining about Biden.
He's still whining about Biden.
Right.
Like,
that boy
loves Joe Biden.
This also takes as fact, which I'm not sure is true, that Trump prepares. I think he's just out there fucking calling flyers every chance he gets. Like, I don't know how many like comebacks he actually has prepped and memorized and in his pocket.
None.
And I think I'm drawing a distinction between Kamala Harris on the cover of New York Mag or doing a sit down with Dana or whoever, and all the stuff we're seeing Trump do. Like I would love to see Kamala on Call Her Daddy, or just like some of the broader media properties that have a fandom.
Yes.
Well, Theo apparently invited, this is breaking news. We heard from our friends who know Theo. Because he got a little bit of pushback for having Trump on, right? But he was like, look, I invited everyone. I invited Kamala. He had Bernie on a couple of days before he had Trump on.
Yep.
Kamala's team didn't say yes, right? So there is that. Like, if you were the media strategist for the Kamala campaign, where would you advise her to go after the debate? Like, does she go on? She goes on your show, obviously, number one.
I don't think she comes on.
She doesn't.
My
She doesn't go on your show.
Not yet. But part of what made the British version so popular is that sitting elected officials came on that show to have fun, and be made fun of.
Exactly.
Right. Shows the personality.
I don't know
she should do it.
If her team will at least allow that level of poking. Because if I make race joke, like if I did blah blah blah, Kamala, you're black, how do you feel about this? And then the next is a picture of Mindy Kaling. Kamala, you're Indian, how do you feel? That's funny.
Absolutely.
Ha ha, Saturday night joke. But that's a fucking...
I think it's great. I think that's what she needs.
We'll see what the polls say on Monday morning when they show the clips. And some facial expression expert fuck goes, you see that twitch when he said the word Indian? That means she's in denial.
Right.
And they'll figure out a way to like...
That's like an in-office appearance. Maybe not a campaign appearance.
Yeah,
but to your point, it would show her personality, which I think is still... Everyone wants to talk about, I don't know, people's policies. Everyone votes on personality. People vote for the people that they like.
That's the problem with podcasts, is that podcasts get as much coverage as late night. I would argue more.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon now going to 4 nights a week instead of 5.
Right.
They're making budget cuts. And
Seth
that just boils down to
Seth
viewership.
Meyers, I think, is going
Seth,
down.
they're pulling his band.
Yeah.
So the idea of having a place to go and show your personality, I don't know where that exists anymore.
Yeah.
Most like if this was 10 years ago, everybody running for this shit would be on late night.
Yeah.
And half late night is scared to have somebody because they don't want to alienate half the viewers, because viewership is so low, you can't afford to piss off half of your audience.
Right.
So the idea of coming on and playing a saxophone or playing whatever Pictionary password game, you're almost better off on some game show, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what podcast.
But I think that's why Trump is having so much success. And this is how RFK really built up his position in the campaign back when it meant something, was through podcasts. He would go and do these extended interviews.
Long form.
Yeah, it's Rogan. It's,
absolutely.
It's 1.5 hours, 2 hours.
It's Logan Paul.
Aiden Ross, all these guys that Trump has been on, you know, and it's something that the traditional media is not covering at all because they don't want to give them that level of importance.
But guess who gives it that importance? My constituents.
Yes.
And it's intimate. It's not a quick soundbite.
Yes.
And if I can hear you talk for an hour and a half, I really feel like I know you. There is a connection. So then when I go back out into the zeitgeist and see somebody go, Trump, he slurred his words. It don't matter. I heard the man talk for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
That's true.
And I don't know if on the liberal side of the game there's anything other than The View that is really going to
Breakfast
give...
Club, maybe? Does Breakfast Club count?
No.
Not really.
No, because for Kamala, she's going to have to answer tough questions. And if it's about having a conversation that's chill, like, it would be something similar to when Kamala was on Charlemagne's show on Comedy Central, you know, maybe like 2 years ago. And I think it was God's Honest Truth. It had a couple different names, but that was a testy interview.
It was contentious.
It was fair, but it was testy.
Yeah.
That's not showing the personality. That's not what you're talking. It ain't Trump on Theo Von.
No.
Club Shay Shay, maybe.
That would be amazing.
Maybe.
Kamala on Club Shay Shay, maybe.
I like that.
But I don't know if Shannon Sharp will ask the questions
I think he'd be good.
I don't know.
No?
I'm not hating on
Yeah.
on the man, but where Shannon's interests lie as a person is where the podcast tends to go.
Good point.
He doesn't come in with, this is what we must ask because this is what the people need.
Yeah.
Right.
Shannon Sharp don't care about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you what the fuck I feel like asking based on your bio. So he may get to something, he may not.
Yeah.
And you also have to wonder, in a podcast like that with a candidate like that, we're talking about a sitting vice president, the idea of some pushback would be nice and desired, especially by liberals.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Shannon, I would imagine, doesn't want to get rung up by his audience for serving up, a cream puff interview when that hasn't been traditionally the case. But I think that Shannon giving pushback to Cat Williams about industry insider stuff versus, well, yeah, you said this about women's rights, but when you were Attorney General of California, remember when the prosecution in 1993?
Yeah.
He's not going to have that on his cards.
I doubt it.
To help give perspective to, why did your opinion change on this?
Did you watch the entire Club Shay Shay Cat Williams interview?
I watched the entire clip, Shay Shay,
It's
the entire Monique,
Monique was
the entire Marlon Wayans,
Yeah.
Seth the Entertainer. Like
They're great.
That's where I get a lot of my long form interviews.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We're also hitting on something too, because it's also strategic. Trump's trying to run up the score with white men. That's his game plan. Battleground
with men
states
and black men
and black men. Oh, actually, that's a good segue.
Yeah.
I can pull more men than you can flip
Yes.
red women.
Yes.
100%.
100%.
Okay.
So knowing that, Kamala's strategy, well, one, new poll came out. I think it was Pew. Black male support for Republican presidential candidate, which is Trump, is at the highest ever. 20%.
And all he needs is Pennsylvania
20%
and
of black
Georgia.
men support Trump right now, which is something Twigg always talks about this, which is just the, what's the right term? The the excitement, the sort of low-key excitement that black men have for Trump.
Yeah.
And, the podcast you just mentioned, or those platforms you just mentioned, that's where Kamala needs to be right now.
Okay. Then if Kamala's there, D.L. Hughley at the DNC is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Where D.L. Hughley has a radio program that is championed by some people where there's an overlap of black men that are pro-Trump that rock with D.L. And he's been a voice for black men for a very long time over the course of his career. D.L's track record of infusing politics a little bit here and there, he's always done this thing. So you have someone like D.L. come out and go, all right, y'all said Kamala locked up all the people. I looked at it. She locked up this many people, and it was this many, but this many people, recidivism, and she got them out, and blah, blah, blah. You need someone like Shannon saying that Kamala coming on the program and clarifying that thing.
Yeah.
It feels it will be taken as more of a talking point or propaganda.
Right.
Versus if Shannon Sharp said, well, you said this, but now this, and this. That would be more powerful. And you would hope someone like Shannon would, for an interview like that, let's get factual, let's get granular, let's really get into it. And if he wants to flip that switch, he absolutely can. He's capable of that. I'm just saying he's never had a guest up until this point that I can recall that would demand that need within an interview.
Right.
So I don't know if that's where his interests even lie in terms of politics, but I just don't know if Kamala gains anything from doing a long form interview that doesn't give her a chance to just be
herself,
to just be.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's probably better off, like, and I'm not even bullshitting when I say this, what's some home and garden? What's some home improvement? Like, what's an American thing that you do? And I don't want to say cooking on some go get in the kitchen type shit, but like, what is who are you as a person?
But it is a place where she's comfortable as well.
Okay, so then what is the lifestyle part of your being that people might not know about?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like that would be an interesting thing. I know she's a basketball fan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that her husband, I don't know if he still has the seats. That's part of why I'm still friends with him. He had Lakers floor seats. I don't know if he still got them. Doug, if you're listening, let me get one of them floor seats.
Maybe two. Can we both?
Yeah, but me first, Doug.
Yeah.
Get me for dinner.
No, I'll go with him. I'll just.
Yeah. You can't even come, Doug. Get me
volunteer.
Twigg.
Doug's busy. Exactly.
Yeah,
Give
he's
up
got to
these
go
tickets.
It ain't even got to be a
cash.
marquee game. We'll take the
Yeah.
Charlotte Hornets. It's
You
fine.
know?
Just Lakers Hornets. So maybe there would have been something as simple as, and not to Obama her, but what is your, like, as a question, what is your legitimate interest? What do you like
Yeah.
the WNBA? Do you watch the game?
Yeah.
Go to a game.
Yeah.
Go to a game. That's a great
Absolutely.
So
call. Do an interview with Caitlin Clark. Do an interview with Asia.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
there's huge opportunity with sports.
But you have to weigh, especially as, and this is the advantage Trump has because he ain't in office.
yeah.
You have to weigh showing your personality versus fielding accusations of you not doing your job.
Right.
Because they're going to take that picture of you standing next to Angel Reese and they're going to put it next to whatever horrible thing happened this week.
Right.
The Georgia family,
Right.
you didn't even come down here to check on the Georgia families after the murders.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's...
She benefits
narrative.
from not being the president, though. It's the one good thing.
100%.
She can still, you know, if
Joey Blue Eyes holding
Joey
it
Blue
down
Eyes
on
is still
Pennsylvania
holding it
Avenue.
down.
Like, we got this.
He's still holding
I
it
didn't need
down.
to go to Georgia.
But it's a
Y'all-
good point.
You don't
It's a
think
good
that was
point.
by design? Because I always thought he was just going to step down altogether. And just have
No,
to get
there's
sworn in.
no chance. If he
For this
had
reason,
to
though.
suffer the indignity, no, I don't even think so. I think it logistically makes sense and practically it makes sense to keep him there because
Yes.
if he elevated her to president, A, she doesn't get that much of a bump from running as an incumbent for 3 months or
Right.
4 months, and then B,
She's gotta do a
the
job
labor
now.
you would actually
Yeah.
have to do.
Yeah.
But I think also for him personally, the idea, the indignity of being forced off the ticket and then forced out of your presidency to not even be able to complete your first term
Be tough.
is just a bridge too far. Like
Okay.
that, like you cannot make him do that, you know?
Yeah.
You think that was what was negotiated? I would love to. I hope decades from now we get
Oh, the tea. I'm
the
desperate.
tapes and get the tea.
Desperate for
on.
It should
Yeah.
just be. It should just be a play, and it's just Nancy and Joe.
Just Nancy's petty
Just
drama.
Nancy and Joe, and think about their trajectory. Because the first time around, when again there was the passing of Beau, but Nancy and Barack had to have a conversation with Joe about handing it to Hillary,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and Joe wanted to run. So there was that first conversation, and then Nancy doing this again. I mean, it's.
Well, I think
You
that
know.
was part of what made it all so horrible.
Yes.
You know, and I was working for Joe at the time, and I would have been the political director had he run in 2016 on that campaign.
Right.
And Beau died, and it was just the most devastating thing you can imagine. It was such a nightmare. But I think part of why it took so long for a decision to crystallize, like part of what made it so gruesome to sort of watch from the inside, is everyone bringing up like, damn, it's happening to him again, you know,
Yes.
when he's the only person who won, when Hillary lost,
Yes.
you know, and he's like, but I actually came back and I did this and I won. And,
I'm the only one that beat Trump.
and like the persistent and continual underestimation of me is like this cross he bears.
I was like, damn, Joe getting treated like a black woman.
Honestly.
They keep overlooking
Honestly,
him. Telling him- That's why Joe Biden dog was biting everybody. He knew not to trust him.
Commander.
That dog knew. That dog,
Dog knew.
I mean,
He's like, man, fuck these people, Joe. I'm biting them.
Yeah.
and the best Nancy just being like, so Nancy, you were working the phones, making him step down. She's like, I didn't call anybody. It's like she was on the phone all day. She's like, well, I didn't call anybody. It's like, but you picked up and stirred the pot every single
time.
chance.
That's interesting because that part of it I never really considered, because for me, as a non-DC person who I'm not thinking 3 steps ahead of Kamala running as a VP affords her a little more latitude to run her campaign.
Yep.
I'm thinking of it from a standpoint of, well, if I'm Joe and y'all don't want me out, well, then I'll just leave. Y'all can just, and I'm,
Yeah.
I'm also speaking as a person who just quit the Daily Show on,
Yeah.
Kind of an impulsive series of emails. Wasn't a lot of strategy there. So what were you thinking in the moment, in the weeks leading up? Did you talk to Trevor? Just kind of went down over a series of 3 hours, man. So I'm thinking like that for Joe Biden, where it's like, hey,
a little bit more
if
to
I'm
it
not
than
the
that, yeah.
dude, then swear her in so she can get the trainee badge, and then everybody will respect the trainee badge when it's time for her to get we'll give her the interim tag.
Right.
And then she can get the real tag in November.
Well, theoretically, that's what the vice presidency is, right?
Yeah.
The vice presidency is the trainee badge.
Yeah. And you hope the American people
will recognize it as such, which they don't always.
And then they lift you up. Yeah. You don't get a lot of VPs going straight up.
No. Okay, so you've been all over the country prepping for the Hulu special, which you recorded last night.
And we're done.
Do you think, congratulations again.
It was so good.
Do you think, like when you're out in Columbus and all the other random places that you went. Peoria. And are the conversations that people are having, are the way that people are responding to you, is there a match between that local experience and what you're seeing, the way we're talking about the campaign on a national level? Does that question make sense?
I don't think most people in middle America care about the same things that people in big cities and coasts value politically.
Yeah.
And therefore they analyze all of the political news through a totally different lens. And you could have something as I had a bit that I was doing, and so when I'm doing an hour special the week before I tape, I always perform in Peoria, Illinois, and Atlanta, Georgia. Specifically those two cities. And the reason being, Peoria is a pretty middle class, a lot of lower middle class residents, extremely blue collar. It's the home of Caterpillar Construction, whatever. So, or is it John Deere? One of the machine companies. It's black, it's white, it's Carhartt and flannel country. And then Atlanta is...
so Silver Lake, but for different reasons.
No, these people smell like construction. Silver Lake, they smell like kombucha.
100%.
And Atlanta is the more well-to-do black person, the more well-to-do white liberal. And let's take the joke and put it in both places and see where the laughs lie. And they shift when it starts time to start talking about political stuff. And like even something as simple as, I was talking about how part of the mistake that I feel like liberals make is that they try to introduce new words and new concepts. And I think that we get in a place where you want people to learn something, but because you're well-read and because you've done all the research and because you've clicked all the links, you think you're better than somebody. And so when you start, you've clicked all the links, so you know more.
Read the article in full. Read past the headline.
Paywall. I subscribe to New York Times. I pay $4 for Puck News, which I do. Shout out Puck News. I read the Phil Lewis newsletter. Good for you. I'm in Peoria working at a fucking bulldozer factory, 50 hours. I got time to read all that shit. Boil it down to me simple.
Yeah.
And so there is an inability to simplify messages to people in middle America, and that's where the disconnect occurs. When you have someone and you're trying, and I was using DE&I as an example, and the joke version of this, but this is the point I was trying to make. I have a cousin who is gay, and she's explaining to me that there's 70 genders. And I go, okay, fine. But I promise you, no one's going to learn all 70 today. We are stupid. So as you push for LGBTQ rights, you have to make sure that you compensate for a person's inability to take in all of the information that you learned over time. You're dumping on them.
In one moment.
And you have to, bit by bit, tell me 2 genders a year for 35 years.
And then progress is made. Yeah.
That's the joke version of it. But like the idea of like something like a DE&I initiative, right? We know what that means. We know it's justified. We know it's perfectly fine. But if you'd have just said more affirmative action instead of affirmative action, just like, you like affirmative action? Well, this is affirmative action plus. Like just some simplified way of making progress more digestible, because you're already asking people to understand something new, coupled with Republicans undoing everything.
Yes.
And that's what we talked about at the show last night. There's progress, then there's backlash. That's the cycle of our society. So if you have Republicans now trying to reverse everything, they do a great job of simplifying a message and parking it under bullshit. They're going to take your jobs, build the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect, concise message. So how do you communicate a concept as intricate as DE&I, because they work in concert, but they're not the same? How do you 2-3 word that in a short attention span society and get it in a way that people are able to understand it quickly and efficiently? And I think if you did that, you're able to more as effectively connect with the person who just hears build a wall or the abortion's murder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think you're bringing up 2 important points. One is that Democrats notoriously are bad at messaging in the very ways that you're talking about. But then also what you're making me think about is all the more reason why I want to see Kamala and the campaign do more press. Because the number of hits that you have to get, right, to get people to understand, who are concerned about other things, who are paying bills and going to work and taking care of their kids and probably working multiple jobs, and or taking care of older parents, or doing all the various things that you have to do in order to maintain a family and a life and be a part of a community. And then you want me to read and hear a bunch of this stuff and get smart on a bunch of this stuff. And it's like, people need to hear about her in some affirming, positive way 50 different times in order for maybe it to sink in, and we have no time left.
I think that's the biggest part.
So to not do media, to me, seems really...
She's going to do it.
Yeah,
we're making it. Roy's going to make it happen.
Surrogates,
she's going to do
whatever, because I also think people turn out...
Yeah.
People tune out political ads.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can spend $100 million on TV, especially if you're J.B. Pritzker, but people are not trying to hear that right now.
Right.
I think to that point, you're very correct, because I think that...
That's the clip.
Just for everything.
That's just the voice now. It's just like the voicemail. Carrie's very correct.
Just drop that soundbite in random podcasts. I think you're very correct.
You're very correct.
She does not have she does not have enough runway to invoke feeling and policy.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to find a program that will allow you to do both. And to only do one this late in the game is risky, because a lot of people vote on feeling. That's just what it is.
Agreed.
I like him. I don't know what it is about Trump. That's just my dude. I like that's what a lot of people say. Can't name a policy, but he just feel like a motherfucker, you know.
Yeah.
And that's enough. So to build that would have taken maybe a little more time, but I don't know which one.
Also, the other crazy thing, because Twigg and I were a little critical of Kamala's convention speech, because it was very militaristic, law enforcement, you know. It was good. I mean, it was a good speech for the middle of the road voter. Yeah. The New York Times Siena poll.
Jingoistic.
Yeah. But that was what she had to go out there and say, look, I can be your commander in chief.
Yeah, of course.
I can protect this country. I'm not a San Francisco liberal.
It wasn't for me.
You know what I mean? It wasn't for Carrie Twigg, sadly. The speech was not for Twigg.
Radical left politics.
But here's the thing. New York Times Siena poll. How do most people view Kamala Harris? As a San Francisco liberal. Trump's winning those middle of the road voters. So even when you're saying all of the right things, it doesn't matter, because the feelings become more important than what you say.
Right.
You know, like how you're saying it becomes more important than the actual CNN interview. So I think I agree with Roy. Like, I think the more that people can actually, because people just don't know Kamala Harris yet. They can't even pronounce her name yet. And the hide Kamala scarcity strategy, I think I agree with Roy too. It's been smart, because They're raising a shit ton of money.
But they would have done that anyway.
They're raising a shit ton of money. They're not messing up before this debate. But I'm saying as soon as this debate ends, they got to put our girl on the road, in my opinion. They got to get her out there. And like, I love the Shannon Sharp idea. I think she should do WNBA stuff. I think she should go.
Yeah.
I think sports, speaking of sports, Roy, we brought this up, how, you know, the way that men follow sports, or the way that just, not just men and women follow sports. Sports fans.
Inclusive of 70 genders. Sports
fans. Yeah, exactly. All fandom, not just men. There's a lot to learn with the way that sports is talked about and covered and consumed. Yep. And I don't think that politics, we just don't do a very good job of making, like, there's no Stephen A for politics. There should be, you know? I mean, maybe that's Roy with his new show. There should be someone out there.
No, it's not gonna be me. I tell you who could bring some heat like that on some Stephen A of politics. I would vote Van Lathan.
Ooh.
And I know
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod. Let's go.
I know CNN uses him a great deal.
He's great.
But every time I see Van on CNN, my first thought is, there's too many people at the desk.
Yes.
Yeah.
He ain't getting to cook the way he needs to cook. So that would be like,
I love that idea.
Like, because it's smart, it's emotional.
Yeah.
And he knows when to open the valve a little bit and let the steam out and be goofy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, he's so talented.
I think Rachel Lindsay helps to balance him a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you put Van in solo or if you put Van and Rachel together, but Van could Stephen A that shit.
I love that.
Down the barrel.
Look at this. We're solving all of the problems here on this podcast.
The media landscape.
We're going to get Van on the show. I'm going to get Van Lathan on the show. And
great.
That'd be a great segment, too. Van or Van. And Van Lathan and Van Jones. And, is Van Lathan about to cuss?
Yeah. No, they could do it on each
other. Or say something wildly inappropriate.
Actually, they should do it on each other. Will Van cry? And Van could see whether or not he's going to cry.
Yeah. I think that there has to be a way for vice president to identify with people on a base regular level, but she just has to be okay with that. It's going to come with criticisms.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
You trying to be regular, you trying to invoke feelings in people and shit like that, then some people are going to go, why you doing this and not worried about the blah, blah, blah over here. And that's just what it's got to be. And also, I think, to your point about her speech at the DNC, she got to try and steal some of them red white women and some of them red white boys.
I get it.
So she got to say a little police shit a little bit.
I get it.
I would hope that you would still be against qualified immunity against all police officers. I would hope you would still be for some level of body cam legislation. But I see what you're doing. You know, like, that's how I take it.
Yes.
100%.
When I see a speech like that, it's like, oh, you trying to reach the other folks you need.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about, because Brad and I were both really upset, and then we concluded with, like, but we're voting for her, so I guess that's not for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's the way, again, I think that's the way politics becomes so personal, right? This is the problem with it. And I think that because Twigg and I this is our jobs. Like, we're political professionals. We don't let strategic campaign decisions, we are not offended by them.
No. They're not
We're able to
us.
separate the two. You know what I mean?
Okay, but then y'all are intelligent, and this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Because you still understand greater good dynamics of voting, and you have enough policy points in her drop-down menu on her website to see that you really are aligned with her in spite of the thing. Somebody who just lost their child to a bad shoot from a cop.
Yeah.
Ain't
Absolutely.
trying to hear
Not
none
trying
of
to
that
hear
shit.
None of that.
Exactly.
And they are a single issue voter.
100%.
Absolutely.
And she didn't say the thing, and I ain't got the time to go to the website you talking about to prove that she passed some policy. I got to wake up in the morning and build a fucking bulldozer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
the problem.
That's the problem, is that how do you connect those two things?
Well, it's the first rule of organizing, right? It is the most basic concept as it relates to winning any campaign or basically any sort of thing that requires someone else's attention, which is meeting people where they are. Democrats perennially fall into this habit of expecting voters to come to us. So we make a really complicated drop down. It's all there on the site. So you just go and you do that, as opposed to going to where people are already spending their time. And Trump, that's exactly what Trump is doing. He's looking at the viewership numbers of a Joe Rogan versus Fox, and he's going to go on Joe. And it's like he's going where his base already, or his persuadables already are.
There's a kid I need to put you all in touch with, even if you just interview him remotely. I don't want to name the app yet because I know he's still beta testing it. But, young kid out of Alabama, Forrest Satterfield. I met him at an Alabama DNC event earlier this year, and he's working on an app that literally puts laws into layman's terms. Everything that's on.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Everything that's on
great.
The bill, that's on your ballot or whatever. Just what does this referendum mean? And it's 3-sentence summaries of shit. Like,
brilliant.
That's what the Democrats need in a bigger,
someone give him
way.
millions of dollars. Someone
Drop
give someone
a Kamala speech into that app.
Yes.
And give me 3 sentences,
honestly,
man.
I'm with you.
Like,
honestly,
Roy.
Call the big donors.
I feel like we got to let Roy go at some point, right? I feel bad. I want us to keep going.
Oh yeah.
I'm here.
I want us to
know
keep
y'all
going.
have shit
I
to
think
do.
you're too tired to actually summon the energy to leave.
I'm happy.
We should just put a cot down for
Every
you.
destination, like, man, I gotta move again.
We should just put a cot down.
It's easier for me to just stay here and
That's
keep
why
talking.
I'm taking the train back to New York, because I literally don't feel like getting up and down in the airport. I just want to sit down
Yeah.
and never get up again.
The train's
until we're there.
amazing. I mean, flying to New York is wild, because then take the train, you're where you need to go. Because you live, well, I shouldn't say where you live on the internet.
I'm in Manhattan, so it's convenient.
Yeah.
Roy lives at this
convenient.
address.
Yeah.
Roy, will you, speaking of, because I know you are so active with the DNC, with so much stuff in Alabama in particular, are you going to be able, given the schedule, Twigg and I talked about hitting the road a little bit, going to some of these battleground states, knocking on some doors, doing some events. We're producing a few events in some of these battleground states. My company is, but and I know Eric Holder. You're friends with Eric.
Yes.
There's a lot of really great work happening in Alabama.
I was double booked on something that they're doing down there.
Yeah.
In Montgomery with EJI and Brian Stevens. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah.
No. I was just saying, do you have time in your account? We talked about your sleep hygiene, so we want to make sure you're getting your sleep.
So
in.
you know you're not sleeping.
We know you're not sleeping anyway.
So should we take this bad boy on the road?
I'm back,
Well, is that
baby.
going to be part of the show? Are you going to be on the road, or are you going to be in writer's room all week?
No, but I'm pretty much with the writers during the week.
Got it.
But it's a lighter, easier lift. So it's the difference between this and the Daily Show. What I've peeped so far from the test show we shot is that we can just do the joke. Who are we pissing off with this joke? How do we tweak it to make sure this group doesn't think this?
Right.
Are we being respectful to the survivors of the thing? And
Right.
Like if we were on the air last week when the school shooting happened in Georgia, there's nothing funny about the tragedy. This is the one magic trick that Trevor Noah will pull. The pain itself is not funny, but you can talk about the causation or how to prevent it from ever happening again. Those are the two quadrants you can live in adjacent to the actual tragedy. So it's the father. The father got arrested.
Yeah.
And then supposedly the mom tried to warn the school or something. I didn't dig because it wasn't a show week.
Right.
But if I'm trying to find a joke about, and we are talking about shit that happened this week.
Yeah.
I bet you there's a joke in there that still is able to point the finger at the parents for being some degree responsible for this. That will still not be disrespectful to the families involved. But you also have to recognize the parents in a way as victims too, quote unquote, because the kid did something terrible. So
I saw a stand-up Trevor did. He was like, there's a relationship between how bad a tragedy is and how much time you need till it gets funny.
Yeah.
And he had this long setup about the billionaire submarine thing
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
Titanic. It was so good. He's like, oh, this
great.
is brilliant.
It's like even with the Trump assassination attempt, it's like, is it time?
We ready?
I don't know. What angle can I talk about?
It's like comedians have a stopwatch. It's like, all right, we can all talk about it.
Some of them ain't got no stopwatch. Some of them boys was cracking jokes while Trump was still on stage giving the Black Power fist.
Oh man.
Like,
right? I mean,
so I don't have the burden of navigating the nuance of pain and tragedy and the political backlash and stuff. It's just find the joke, keep it moving. I do think I will be able to travel a little bit because between now and December, I only have 7 days on the road. I think 3 of those are with Jordan Klepper doing some stuff.
Cool.
So I want to do what I tend to do during the school year, during a non-election year at least. It's, for me, the 2 things that I'm really into is youth reading, literacy programs, 3rd grade and younger, and baseball. Those are the 2 things that I like.
Awesome.
That's
your jam.
My philanthropy,
yeah,
if you will. But
wait, what's the baseball?
There's a couple of programs in Birmingham where you're raising money to make sure that kids have an opportunity to travel and play ball, because that's what keeps minorities out of ball.
Yeah,
is that
it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
And so the idea of a mom's hotel room, baseball
right.
bat. I sponsor my high school team to this day every year.
Wow.
I'm not the prime sponsor. It ain't Roy Wood Jr. presents
Yeah.
the Ramsey Rams. This ain't Tyler Perry sponsoring. But, just as much as I can, donate time with that. That's why we were doing all this shit with Major League Baseball this summer for the Negro League's tribute game. But yeah, I wanna show up at a couple things. I've been thinking about, because the CNN show is so sit down, I've been kind of fascinated with what Hassan Minhaj has been doing.
Just getting out there.
Yeah, and he's talking to people. I saw Don Lemon at the DNC randomly walking around with a camera.
Oh, yeah. He was like doing man on the street.
But then I go on his
social.
Instagram and I'm like, oh, damn, that was a good interview.
Yeah,
that was good.
There's a real art to the man on the street thing that gets unappreciated.
And I feel like I kind of could do that.
I
you
think
and Klepper,
so.
like, you guys are very good at that. You guys are like kind of the artists of that.
So I am anxious to go out and do stuff for the election. I really just want to talk to people, though.
Yeah.
I got to figure out what's that structure.
Yeah.
Of just having a conversation with someone.
Well, you have 58 days, so you should plenty of time to incubate.
Yeah, plenty of time.
Have you picked all the guests for your show?
No, I don't have a hand in that. I just know that my wish list is Ted Cruz, Kellyanne Conway, New York City Mayor Eric Adams.
Oh, that'll be funny.
Oh, my Lord.
And Bun B.
Bun B.
Perfect.
Yo.
One of the sharpest political minds.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, get Bun B out here.
Let's go. Yeah.
I think that would
surrogate
be one.
we need. If Trump wanted to come on, so if Trump wins and is president and you're still doing the show next year and he wants to come on your show, would you have him?
I'd say yes. Win or lose, if Trump wanted to come on my program on CNN, I would have him.
What if he wants to come on as a candidate?
That's fine.
Yeah.
You're normalizing them and making them seem cool. He's been around 8-9 years.
Longer than that.
I'm not doing anything new to create a new voter at this point.
Yeah.
You want to make that argument at Jimmy Fallon hair rub or SNL cameo? Fine. But this late in the game,
right?
I'm here for the jokes. And if he's showing up,
I'm here for jokes.
But you have to understand the nature of this show. The British show, when sitting politicians come on this show, it is a mini roast.
Yeah.
It's great.
I talk shit about you, then we do a story. And then I look at you and I talk shit about you to your face. And you can either fight back.
Right.
Or you can sit there and take it. I don't know how many sitting politicians would be willing to do that. You got to be somebody that knows how to throw jabs back, that knows how to take a joke. I feel like Ted Cruz could take a joke because this man shows up
as a joke.
He is a
joke.
But I'm saying literally,
yeah.
He shows up in public and knows he's gonna get booed And he was at this footage of him in a Yankees game in an Astros jersey. And he's just walking there booing him. And he just goes like a wrestler. Put him on the show.
Put him on the show.
Yeah. Maybe J.D. Vance. You could call him a cuck.
I'd have J.D. Vance on. I don't know how lively he would be, like just in terms of good television.
Low energy.
Yeah.
Like when I think about good television, to me, I think about it in the sense that something that's on mute, and you go, well, what are they talking about? Those faces are moving.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
J.D. Vance just looks like
He's
very much
very low energy.
It's very Law and Order. Tell me what happened next. Like the scene where the detective is canvassing the neighborhood. Yeah, he was out there, and then I heard a noise, and then
he's like an NPC, is what we say.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Carri Twigg loves J.D. Vance. She's a huge fan.
Don't do that. I mean,
it's Ohio. That's her dude.
Listen,
Ohio.
That's your dude.
We got Jim Jordan and J.D. Vance. It's really.
You guys got to get your act
bringing
together
down the average of the state.
in the state of Ohio.
Yeah, but
Brad and I post memes sometimes, and there was a really aggressive Ohioan that's like, "Welcome to Ohio. Consider the choices that brought you here." And he's like, "I pulled it for you." I was like, "Thank you. My whole family's there."
Yeah, man. I really think that this election is it's not going to be the runaway that a lot of people are acting like. There's a lot of people also, you got a little too much 2016 chestiness in you, my friend, thinking that this is a runaway. It's not.
All right, you have to call it right now. Who wins?
Preach.
Kamala, but it's like, I don't know. What did Joe win by? 8 million votes? Don't talk to me electoral college. Let's just talk.
Oh, okay. I don't pay attention to the popular votes.
Hillary lost by 3 million.
No,
Hillary won the popular vote.
Hillary
won by 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
She
Hillary won
lost
the
the
vote.
election by 70 votes spread across Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania.
Okay. Give me Kamala in the popular by 4 million votes. It's not going to be by a lot. And I think it'll be more.
But does that mean she wins the presidency?
Yeah, I think she wins the presidency.
Wins electoral college. I know you don't want to talk about it. Fair enough. And the popular.
But that's the other thing. That shit is just weird.
It's so whack.
It's
right, but it is the only thing that matters.
Less corrupt than
agreed. I agree.
College system.
I agree.
This college football goes, you win, you beat them, then you win.
Yeah.
You are the winner. I think she can win. I think this is a battle about flipping Republican voters more than it is convincing Democrats who want to know more about her.
Yeah.
You know, you stand to gain more Republicans than you stand to lose Democrats. I think. And I think that's the game you have to look at.
That is her exact strategy right now. So I think you're spot on. I mean, I think they looked at the data, especially, Twigg and I used to work for Pluff and these guys that are in there now, and they're very data oriented, right? So they're like, to Twigg's point, it really comes down to 4 states or so, 4 or 5 states, and you're going to win by maybe 10 to 20,000 votes in each of those states. And then you start slicing and dicing, like, who are those 10 to 20,000 people? And you're right. It's like, I think especially with regards to women, Trump won white women, right?
53%.
And I think the question becomes, can he maintain winning white women at that large of a margin this time around?
Not talking the way he's been talking about abortion.
Exactly.
And if he comes to that debate and he starts saying the right thing about abortion, that's going to be enough to solidify those potential Republican defectors.
Yep.
And keep them from jumping ship.
Yep.
And I think that's where Kamala has to kick in and call him out on all of the past things that you have said about this thing.
Yeah.
To not allow him to use the debate as an opportunity to turncoat.
Yes.
Because he's going to get up there and high side about all that he's done for black people.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's also running the same playbook. I'm talking to the voters I need.
Yep.
Yeah.
If I can steal enough blacks,
100%,
then I can cripple you.
And specifically black men, he's just like, I'm rich. I know how to make you rich.
Yep.
which is never something you hear from Democrats.
I'm a businessman.
Yeah.
This is why my dad is a black Trump voter. Shout out to Walter Jenkins.
Yeah, but
This is why my dad loves Trump. He'll say it time and time again. He's a businessman.
yeah,
You know,
but I
like he's
get
not
it.
a politician. And I think you're right. I think that is clearly the strategy on Trump's side that has been working.
You're able to convince black men in the sense that I got it, you can get it too.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he becomes
Totally.
the dream. So yeah, I'm gonna pick
Absolutely.
the dream over someone talking policy. And then when it's even time for you to really talk deep in depth about something, I'm either tuning out or I didn't know that you actually did the thing that helped benefit the thing.
Right.
Trump gave me the stimulus check. No, it wasn't. It was the Democrats
Right.
and Trump
Right.
tried to block it. So even saying that
Yeah.
is enough to try and get somebody back on board on the Democratic, I don't feel like Trump could lose the debate. He could get up there and say gabba gabba goo.
You're right.
The people who love him still don't love
You're
him.
right. You're right.
right.
There's like no
It's-
consequences for this dude ever.
But
Bulletproof.
if he says the wrong things on policy, if Kamala can sneak him on a couple of policy points that cost him women,
She can win.
she can win.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can't lose, but she can win. Guys, I got to go to the airport.
Let's do this. Wait, what was the hashtag again? Down on my dick.
Down on my dick.
Down on my dick.
I'm so happy we got that in one more time.
Listen to the Twigg and
Perfect.
Jenkins
I was
podcast.
Down on my dick.
Don't be down on your dick.
Yes.
Roy, again, man, thank
Roy,
you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
so much. We really, really, truly appreciate your time. We
Thank
know
you
how
all.
busy you are. And we're so excited for the show. The show premieres. So we're
Saturday
Yeah,
on
this-
CNN,
Yeah.
Saturday nights,
Saturday night.
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
until
Eastern.
Thanksgiving.
Until
So
That's all you
Thanksgiving.
need to know.
Great.
Let's go.
Set the DVR. We're going to crack some jokes. Hopefully we'll get Eric Adams, Bun B.
Cruz
Cruz.
Yeah,
Teddy
and Kelly.
Cruz.
Kellyanne.
we'll see. We'll
Hearing
see.
remarkably little about Kellyanne Conway these days.
Yeah, what's she up to?
Have her debut, her electoral.
Maybe I should have you on
election
with
season.
Kellyanne.
Twigg
But-
should go.
I'd go on with Kellyanne.
Well, in Britain, they'll sometimes book two people as guests who don't like each other.
Yeah.
Great.
And that becomes part of the tension.
Sure.
Like,
Twigg and
that's-
JD.
Oh, if you get JD Vance,
Twigg and JD.
Oh, that's nice.
That would be
Please.
television.
please. I mean, I don't know. Might be unusable. All your footage, just me hissing at him,
That's good.
calling him,
great stuff.
calling him bleeped names.
It's 9 o'clock. You can say shit. We don't even believe it. That was another question I asked CNN. Can I cuss just a little bit? We got to loosen it up.
They're letting you
yeah,
cuss?
right.
A little bit.
Sparingly. Choose your place.
Sure.
Choose your word one time per episode.
Sure.
love it.
That feels reasonable.
Feels
Yeah.
right.
Well, thank you guys.
Roy,
for
thank you,
having me.
man.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And whenever you're in New York and you want to come enjoy the CNN cafeteria, you let me know.
Next
We're
week.
coming.
I'm coming next
Okay,
week.
Well, I won't be
Okay.
there that day.
Perfect.
But look out for that.